to the Michael Pell Podcast, where we have a very, very interesting guest on with us this morning, Michael Barlow, who was in town, and we thought we'd take the opportunity to get him in the studio. Welcome, mate.
Thanks, Pelican. Good to be on. Very interesting guest.
Yes. And look, I know we've got early on, we've got an AFL slant. We've had Simon Black on. We've got yourself on. And look, the statistics are what they are. 126 games for the Freo Dockers.
I was 196 short of Blackie, I reckon.
Well, there you go.
322.
Yeah, he was 322.
But I did play a couple more up here on the GC.
And two clubs. You've had the experience of the Western and the Eastern Seaboard.
Blackie probably just had it a little bit simple, didn't he?
Yes.
Just one
bit
club.
straightforward.
Yeah.
You mixed
always
it up.
Playing.
Yes.
Always the best.
That's right. And you got 15 out for the Goldie. But look, more importantly, I reckon, than the numbers and the stats, we've forgotten about the best first-year player for Freo.
Oh, well, yeah, if we want to wind it right back and go to that, yes, we'll start with the 2010 season.
The 2010 season, a really interesting one, because you got drafted as a mature age recruit, Mickey, and is it true that in the AFL system, at 18, if you're not drafted, do most kids sort of say, well, I've almost missed the opportunity? Have I missed the boat?
Well, yeah, you see a lot of that. And I was probably very lucky, my own experience growing up around some really good footballers, in my under 16 years and under 18 years, where I've got to put it on the table, I was no good. Well, I was okay.
Yeah, you were okay.
I was never a world beater.
So AFL wasn't necessarily a dream because you weren't necessarily there.
No, so my dream was to go to Melbourne University and get some sort of tertiary education because my trade skills weren't very adequate.
Right.
My brain was more adequate.
Yes.
So I studied pretty hard at school and gave myself an opportunity and went to uni and did urban planning and development.
There you go.
So I did urban planning and development, spent the 40K on the HEX, and we'll never do a day's work in it, I don't think.
No, but it's probably the experience as well.
It is.
That it gives you.
Yeah, the life experience of, I suppose, even earlier, like winding it right back, I went to boarding school when I was 15, I think, or 15 or 16, year 10.
So you grew up in Shepparton. You're a Shepparton boy, country Victoria.
Fruit Bowl of Australia.
Yes.
Shepparton.
Yes. And then from Shepparton down to Melbourne.
Down to Kilmore. So got halfway.
Right.
Got halfway. Kilmore. Took the exit there at Kilmore. Went to Assumption.
Assumption College. So famous footy college.
Yeah, it's a famous footy. It's your Crawfords, your Dixons, your Billy Brownlesses. Who else have we had there? Richie Douglas, Peter Crimmins.
Yeah, some very good footballers.
Yeah, so it was and a great, even from then, you grow up pretty quickly, I think, going away at 15 or 16. And it's not like the kids I went to school with, all our parents kicked us out. Like there was opportunity to renege.
Yeah, of course.
Of which my younger brother did renege on the opportunity to go there. And But yeah, I was a little bit nervous, I think, going down. I'm probably a little bit more apprehensive than my older brothers to go to boarding school.
So was it year 10, 11? or
Year 10, 11, 12.
3 years.
Yeah. And three of the best kind of moulding and shaping years of my life in terms of stepping out of a comfort zone.
Mum and Dad are not just there.
Mum and Dad aren't there. It feels like they're an absolute eternity away, but they're literally only 100 kilometres up the road.
Yeah.
So great experience. A lot of those guys I think there's probably 30 in a boarding house kind of when you get to year 12 in your year 12 boys boarding house, and I'd say 90% of them that I still keep in very regular contact.
Yeah, good mates.
Yeah, and we're pretty staunch, and you need a bit of luck, I think, in those circumstances to get a good year, a good crop that are pretty invested in each other and enjoy the journey. As my group did. So
were you playing in the ones, obviously, from year 10, or was it year 11?
No. Well, which my mates like to rub this into me. Year 10, I went down, and year 10 you play in the year 10 footy. Unless you're really outstanding, you'll play first 18 footy.
Yep.
I was more of a cricketer, Pally, so I was behind the stumps for the first 11
keeper
from the first day.
Really?
That I got there. Yes, I had a growth spurt in about year 12.
Oh, so you weren't 6 foot plus in year 10.
I would have been that and skinny.
Yeah.
And the most satisfying thing about going to Assumption and taking the gloves for the first 11 as soon as I walked through the gates was
good.
My brother was the wicketkeeper before I got there.
So you've replaced him.
I took the gloves off him, but they kept him in the side, I think more so for morale.
Right. Morale officer, was he?
Yeah, he was the morale officer and the first slipsman and the opening batsman slogger. And we snuck a premiership out in year
Beautiful.
10. So cricket, I got to Assumption and played all first 11 cricket, but the footy side of things, as you said, a really kind of rich heritage of footballers coming out and
Yes.
kind of really strong in the AGSB competition. Assumption have been. I would say I think there might have been 2 guys that played first 18 when I was in year 10, and it wasn't me. And then year 11, you might have 6 guys from year 11 in the first 18. And I was kind of in and out, sporadically.
Was the AFL, to become an AFL footballer, was that wasn't on your list at 16, 17 years of age?
It was definitely on the list.
You would have loved it.
It was under the pillow. Yeah, it was on the wish list, but
unrealistic.
That's absolutely what it was, unrealistic. Unfortunately, my mum didn't think it was that unrealistic when I finished year 12 at Assumption. I had a pretty good year, granted. I won the best and fairest year 12 at Assumption.
Well,
and I played a couple of senior games of footy up in the Golden Valley and found a bit of the ball, but I was tiny and slow and could kick about from me to the camera away.
Yeah. But you could get hold of it, Michael.
I could get hold of it.
That's a pretty important aspect.
My mum saw that trait and thought she'd run with it, so she nominated me for the draft.
Right. Did anyone speak to you?
No.
No. It would have been a little bit demoralising. But you were realistic.
Yeah, I was 100% aware, unless they read out the wrong number, which I think might have happened once or twice along that I would not be an AFL player the next year. So when that happens, when the draft happens and you don't get drafted, and it's a bit demoralising, but did you still think, I'm going to keep pushing and I'm going to get there one day, or I'm just going to have fun with my footy now and let's just see what happens? The latter. So my focus was uni. I got into a good uni course, as I mentioned, at Melbourne Uni. And
beautiful.
The eyes lit up and I thought, here we go. Now, boarding school was fun.
Yep.
But boarding school, you were refined to a certain standard of rules, I suppose, and you were underage, so they're not going to no drinking, I will say.
Yes.
Might have been once or twice that you snuck in and got away with it, unlike some others that might have got sent home for indiscretions.
Yeah.
But no, so you go to uni and live on campus, and it was all bloody big city, big stars in your eyes, and away you go. And my commitment to footy that year was I was going up home to Shepparton United in the Golden Valley Footy League to play seniors up there. So it was kind
of relaxed but pretty serious at the same time.
Yeah, it's a very good country football league in Victoria.
Yeah.
I would patriotically say it's the best.
It probably is.
There's Ovens and Murray's pretty good, and then there's the amateurs in Melbourne is really strong now, especially with job opportunities and all that. They can get players coming straight out of the AFL. So anywho, went up there when I was, but this was in between Pally at uni for the first time.
You're at uni
3 or 4 times a week. We're out on the tear on the circuit.
Of course, and you got a game on the Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
You got to drive for the game, nonetheless.
And carpool though with the brother. Yeah. We'd rely on the match moment too. We'd be out of dough by the time we got to the week.
So solid Wednesday night, Thursday night, and a little bit easier Friday. Good feed, or
Friday was usually try and get up home and get mum and put the hydrolyte out and get the pasta into me. So, but it wasn't, mate. It wasn't all rainbows and lollipops. I suppose that first season of senior footy, I was. As I said, I wasn't preparing at all well, and even though it's country footy, and I did have a bit of talent at that level, I was underprepared, and looking back on it, it wasn't a good reflection on how I go about life. So I had a stern talking to from the coach then at Shep United, Steve Hazelman, who is a guy that was a brilliant footballer underage, and he's a great story in itself. He was brilliant footballer, Vic Country captain, I think, when he was under 18s, which was probably 2000s. Same kind of era as Rob Murphy and a lot of those players that go on to play 300 games. So he captains them at under 18s, but he's too short and too slow and can't kick, but unbelievable footballer.
Yes.
And he said to me, after a game in Echuca, he just said, look, mate, you're either fair dinkum or you're not. I understand what it's like down there and all that, and I don't want you to kind of go cold turkey and just worry about footy and not live your life. But he was essentially...
Make a decision.
Yeah, make a decision
basically.
and commit to some training and buy into what we've got here.
Yep.
And
Yep.
from that point on, I turned it around.
You did.
Yeah.
But it would still be from 18, almost 3 years, Mickey, till you got drafted in 2010 as a mature age. So that's a fairly long time.
It did. So the next year, the next season, I stayed at Shep United. And again, I filled out a bit, and I started to figure it out a bit. I figured out... I've always loved running and staying fit and all of that. But I think I just thought, you know what, I can be a really good player at this level.
And that would be great.
Yeah, and I was 19 and going really well at that level. I think I came second in the league medal the next year.
Wow.
Remember Trent Houghton from
He
Carlton? He won it. Yep. He was playing for Mansfield. So
Good league, good strong league.
Good, and he ran second in the league medal and kind of had a really good year. Still at uni and had a really good balance of life and had figured it out a bit.
And you're enjoying it, probably.
Yeah. And it was always good to come up home and see family. And it was my family club, so family connection is really important to me. And so life was good. And I nearly and it all happened like this. At the end of that season, I got invited to train at St Kilda.
This is when you were 19.
Yeah, 19, go to St Kilda.
And you went down.
And again, I still thought it was 1,000,000 to 1 that I'd go and give myself a chance. But I got there, and what I quickly realised was I wasn't as out of my depth as probably I anticipated.
Interesting.
So I thought, apart from being late on my first day, Pally, 30 minutes late.
Who was coaching
Ross
St Kilda?
Lyons.
Oh,
Yeah,
Rossi
Ross.
was coaching then.
Ross was the coach.
Now I'm linking it all up.
And Ross, from my first ever experience to my last ever experience, was fairly similar.
Consistent.
Consistent. I'd rock up, I was late, run around the tan. It was a time trial. They were already started. In fairness to me, I got the old
It's
sheet.
not a great start, is it?
I got the old sheet that said, 8 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Coming from country footy, you think 8 o'clock, no worries, get there at 8. Get there at 8.
Yeah.
And warm into it. Have a laugh. A couple of back slaps.
Yeah.
But it's, 8
Did you
o'clock.
know anyone down there?
Nah. And it was, I rocked up, no kit. I remember I had
boots and runners.
White footy shorts, probably local footy shorts, and a Billabong singlet or something probably. Yeah. So no kit. I'd got there. I think things are a bit different nowadays. If you get invited to train, you might get a little welcome pack.
Yeah.
And they might say, we've got this guy coming to train.
Just quickly, speaking of welcome packs, Blackie said on the podcast his welcome pack included drink cards. That's a while ago now.
Yes. No, that didn't enter my welcome pack at training on at St Kilda. But
how did it go at St Kilda then that pre-season, and what did they think of you at the end of it?
Yeah. So I think, again, it was more my own observation. I literally thought, get in and get out unscarred, really. Get in. Don't make a fool of yourself. Get out the other end and go back and play country footy and whatever.
Good experience.
Yep. But I went in and, like I said, I think I was good at the running. Like I was. You were
in the mix
with that.
I
was in the top 5 in the time trials and
skills were good. And
I was
ball winning ability.
Yeah. I think I did my quad at one stage, just like slightly, but that's all about kind of adapting to kicking the footy, but 500 times a week rather than 20,
50
or whatever you get there on a Saturday and start.
And it's your 6-day training, often twice a day.
I attribute that period of my life to kind of my regimented approach still with exercise and staying fit and healthy.
That got you to a new level of
get up, do it in the morning, and
it's done.
And when I was starting to figure out that I'm a chance, how good would it be to earn money to go to footy, come home, and finish your uni, but you're a chance to play in front of 80,000, all that stuff.
Amazing.
Long and the short of it, got to the end of that. The rookie draft came and went, and I missed out.
This is about February.
It's about December.
Oh,
so it was 6 or 8 weeks
of training
just before Christmas, and they went with someone else. And
so you're gone then? Are you out?
Yeah, and they like credit to them. They said I was really close, and I was.
In hindsight, they might have made a different decision, but it's easy in hindsight.
Yeah, Ross ran into me when he first came to Freo and pretty much said that. He goes, we went with this guy and that guy. I think we knew pretty quickly that. But at the same time...
It's hard to pick at the time, isn't it?
At the same time, the Saints had said to me, they said, go away, have a good year at VFL. So this is where it clicked a bit. I was thinking, go back, play at Shep United, and happy as. But it came and went this 6 or 8 weeks, and they said, go play VFL. I'll give you, if you can play at that level, then we'll call you and
you're a good chance.
Yeah, so went to Werribee. Team of the year, pretty good year, Pally.
Yes.
Phone didn't ring.
The phone didn't ring.
They said
you had a great year. This is when you were 20?
20.
Yeah.
And had a...
At Werribee.
I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I think I was a little bit lucky to get in the team of the year. But...
And the phone didn't ring from any club?
No. So... But again, I think this is... If I was to get picked up 12 months earlier, I wouldn't have that perspective of how difficult it is to get drafted.
Yeah.
Because I had no concept of how the VFL essentially worked whilst I was up playing in Shepparton.
Yeah.
But how it works is now there's 22 teams. Back then there was, say, 14 teams of, there'd be 200 VFL listed players cracking and trying to get an opportunity to be maybe the one or two that get drafted.
Yep.
So that's how cutthroat it is.
Yeah.
And that year, I played with James Podjadley, who'd done it for years and years, and
another mature age recruit at Geelong,
who dominated, and here I think it was a bit, it's a bit. I think I was probably a little bit underappreciative of the work that goes in to get drafted. And back to your first point, those guys that get drafted at 18, or miss out at 18, are they ready? Are they mature enough to either go on with a career?
Yeah.
Or if you miss out, do they have that resilience and understanding, which I didn't have, of where you've got to go to actually get that opportunity? Like you've got to go in and...
it's a big step up, isn't it?
My second year at the VFL...
Into 20... After
I went out and I did dead set go brilliantly. Like I was going...
And this is the year, the 21 year that got you drafted.
Yeah, so I was 21 and I got more opportunity. The coach said, we're playing you on the ball and all this. So it was
like you were building to a crescendo at 21.
Yeah.
But there's an argument to say that your best footy is probably at 21, 2, 3, 4, isn't it, Michael?
Well,
not 18, 19, 20.
Well, yeah, for my physical maturity came later and a bit, my emotional maturity and
understanding,
professionalism and all of that. It was 4 years of which, first 2 years playing up in the country, I don't think I thought for 1 second about going and playing the AFL or even the VFL. But I was lucky. There was a guy called Craig Blizzard who was the footy manager at Shep United.
Yeah.
Who had these connections in the AFL land that said, go and watch him.
Wow.
Go and watch this kid and see. And I think 2 or 3 clubs kind of said, thanks but no thanks. And then St Kilda were the ones that stuck around and saw the deficiencies but thought there was something enough there. So
were they in the mix when Fremantle got you, St Kilda?
No, so it was an interesting one. That one, like no one rang my first year at the VFL out of the end of that season. Then the next year, again runner up in this bloody league medal. I got close a couple of times. Got close, but just could never bring one home. But Miles Sewell, brother of Brad, won it.
Right,
and he's a hard luck story in itself. To never get an opportunity to go on and get drafted. Played in a lot of premierships for North Ballarat and a very good player, just an honest footballer.
Yep.
Again, recruiters probably looked at deficiencies that they thought outweighed the positives. However, I spoke to 10 clubs. I remember I counted 10 clubs up. So Pally,
at the end of that, at 21.
That was the end of 2009. So I was 21.
Yep.
And I was thinking, it's go time. We're on. So 10 clubs and...
Yeah, and then December was the rookie draft.
November national draft. I knew I was probably 50-50 and missed out.
Yeah.
And this was another moment where it all happens really quick. When you think you deserve something or if you feel like you can do it.
Down.
And the air just comes out of you. I remember I was watching the draft with Mum and Dad that night and Mum just Mum and Dad I think wore the disappointment.
Emotional.
Like all parents do. They see the 80% of or shit or whatever, or the downers of people's lives or their kids' lives
and the effort and the energy.
That's
and
what
and the emotions.
Well, they see that. They see the effort, energy you put into a dream that no one's just gifted. But there was that moment. Mum said to me, "Do you want to keep doing this?" And
This is at 21, the November draft, and you still weren't
still
drafted.
got the rookie draft. So
Coming
I
up.
just said, "Look,
It's a last chance, basically.
Yeah." And you say, well, if no one takes me next, it is what it is. I was contemplating potentially going over to Adelaide and finishing my uni over there and going to the Sandford. And uni
was going well in the meantime, though. That was all going good in the background.
Yeah, uni at 21, you don't have too many. I was very, very lucky. Like I was never spoiled as a kid, but I was never wanted for anything.
Right.
Like, I'm one of five that we were blessed with loving parents growing up.
Beautiful family, country upbringing.
And so I had nothing to complain about. I wasn't scrapping and clawing for much, but I was scrapping and clawing for this opportunity in the AFL. And then the rookie draft did come. Nowadays, Pally, I think it's like the next morning they do the rookie draft.
Wow.
But this was 3 weeks after the national draft, so you still have to sit
waiting.
and wait. I went and trained at Essendon.
Got to know a few of the boys around there. You got to meet 42, 50 players every time you went to training.
Yeah, Fletch. Mate, I've worn some singlets. I was Saints, Essendon.
Yeah.
I played an intra-club for North Melbourne when I was with Werribee.
So you met a few of the boys.
Oh, mate, I was around the
From
boys.
not knowing anyone.
Yeah,
mate.
yeah. And then they bloody draft me to Fremantle. How many do I know over there, mate?
You knew none. But that day, when you got drafted, I suppose, relief, the number one, how did you feel? Was it bittersweet? It wouldn't have been bittersweet for Mum and Dad, even though you're going to Perth. They wanted you to get drafted.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It didn't matter?
Oh, they were
wrapped.
I come from a family that's an opportunity. Oh, we can go over to Perth and we'll see a new side of the world.
Which they did do.
Yeah, they did. They enjoyed all elements of
coming over to
swim there and the Port Beach and down the Cappuccino Strip there.
Yes.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
So I sat down with Mum. The rookie draft is a little bit less off Broadway than what the national draft is. National draft they do on like Saturday night and it's all like built up and the big highlights. Rookie draft Tuesday morning.
Just kind of happens, doesn't it?
It was on a computer and just pick 6.
Really? But did you were watching it live, were you?
Yeah, and I'd been told in the morning that I was going to get drafted.
Beautiful.
But I didn't tell Mum. Mum came around.
Because until it happens, it hasn't happened, right?
Mum would have bloody had a vendetta against everyone that's ever been involved with the AFL. If they tell me, we're taking your son. But they don't take. But it came and it popped up, and I remember I just...
Wow.
You know how older people are when technology's happening. And I know what's kind of going on.
And sorry, this is December 2009.
Yeah.
So like live feeds and that weren't that,
No.
I probably still had a Commodore 64 back then, Mickey.
Yeah,
but,
well, I didn't have a car or anything, but...
Yeah, but you were watching it on the computer.
Watching the computer, it was just... There was a bit of I had met with Gold Coast, and Gold Coast was a club that hadn't said much to me about what they were thinking, but they had the first 5 picks. But their thing was that they were going to be in the VFL that year. So that wasn't even an AFL year. So I was a bit nervous. I was a little bit nervous.
Didn't want to lose another year.
Yeah, and would have been a few more boys. Got up here a bit early.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got through that, and then pick 8 came, and I knew it was Freo's, and I'd kind of been told.
But Freo had told you that morning, and you wouldn't think they'd go back on their word.
Yeah, they'd told my manager, Marty Pask, who'd told me, and he'd said pick 24, all this. You remember, it's amazing the stuff you remember when it's significant moments.
Yes.
Pick 8 came, and I was like, just once, just put me out of my misery. Just let this be.
God, what a journey.
And then...
the long road.
Again, it popped up, and I reckon it was there for probably 30 seconds or whatever. And Mum's looking at the computer, and I know.
You're all together in the one room?
Well, just me and her.
Oh, you and her, yeah.
I wasn't letting too many people in this day. I was looking at it, and I saw it, and she didn't register. I go, that means I'm going to Fremantle.
It was number 8.
That was an amazing feeling. That was as kind of special as... Because, like I said before,
huge,
your parents see all like the effort and the exhaustion and whatnot that goes into it. So for her to experience that someone that's my role model and understands the exhaustion behind it all was unbelievably special.
I almost say, Mickey, I mean, it's a great thing to get drafted when you're 18, but these kids that play really well get drafted at 18. Your journey add an extra 3 years onto that, almost 4 because you were 22 the next day. So it's add on 4 more years. It just must be. It's a much bigger mountain to climb, I would say.
Yeah,
a lot more difficult doing it that way.
At the time, certainly it was. It just didn't happen much. I know that there was a few examples that have come and gone before.
Yeah.
But now I'm really proud to know that it happens with a lot of regularity now. I watched.
And you're an advocate for the mature age recruit.
So like guys like Sam Collins, who was a mature age recruit, didn't work out at Freo, goes back. He's a great story because he goes back and does another year at VFL, then comes back into the AFL and just shows that. And he won the Gold Coast Best and Fairest, and
it's perseverance.
Best, one of their best or most important players. The pool of talent, or the pool of not so much the talent is there, but it's the pool of genuine competitors, footballers that can come in and make a go for it straight away. And
when that happened, Mickey, it's basically December 09. It's pack your bags, and Fremantle are booking you on a flight from
that day,
country Victoria.
Well, I was living in Melbourne.
Oh, you're in Melbourne.
Yeah.
But they're booking your flights.
Yeah. I said, look, they said we'll bring you over tomorrow, and I literally said, can I come today or whatever?
Mate, your mum. I would just imagine the look on your mum's face when she said goodbye to you. So happy but sad. Like
took me to the airport. Oh yeah, it was. You could.
It was emotions.
Tell they can't hide their enthusiasm. I was living with a great mate of mine at the time, Angus Graham, who was on Richmond's list, and I went to school with him. His career was. He was a ruckman, so he had the genuine ruckman career.
Not related to the other Grahams, anyway.
He had that ruckman career that, he's on a list for 10 years, but he plays bloody 30 games because they just need a
they need a spare.
He's the spare.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it with a joke. He's a great mate of mine. He's and speaking about like understanding what it goes into, the giving yourself the opportunity to succeed. It didn't fully work out for Angus, but he. The effort and professionalism, what he put himself through to give himself a chance is something that I absorbed and went over to Freo and just tried to implement. But he rang me and he goes, yes, mate, I just heard. I'm like, sounds a bit morbid here. I just heard you've wanted to get drafted for so long and they send you over to Fremantle. I was like, mate, where's your... He's just kind of got no sense of occasion at times.
But look, is that a thing? I mean, the Victorians, you're Victorian, do you want to get drafted by... It doesn't matter so much anymore.
I wanted, life experience was...
Amazing.
Big. I look at my life as very blessed in terms of Fremantle for 7.
Some of your best mates are from Fremantle, right?
Yeah. So 7 years there, and then even to come to the Gold Coast. Didn't work out professionally, but what it showed me was... and a brilliant way of living and a
played
different...
with Gary Ablett. That's a highlight in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, and saw a club kind of under siege and still trying to find its way and tried to assist and, as I said, didn't fully work out, but again, experienced some more adversity, which I think I can really absorb and take in the next
the next
phases
stage
of my life. So to go to Fremantle, it would have nearly been... And then I had a look at the list. And you think, I'm a fair chance.
Fair chance, straight up.
Just on the back of what they'd done. I think they'd drafted, they'd changed 14 players on their list the year before, and then they'd done another. So I got there.
It was a full rebuild at that point,
I got there with, in the previous 2 seasons, 24 new players out of the 44 on the list were 1 to 2 years into their existence at Freo. So you think they're going to give these guys a chance.
Yes, an opportunity. And so, Mickey, the 2010 season was your breakout season, and so you got a game round one. You got a game, and really you were on fire from the beginning. And how did that feel?
It was pretty, more special. Again, I talk about family and friends that absorb the journey with you so much. They came over for it.
Mum and Dad, obviously.
And it was a Sunday. Freo always get these bloody Sunday twilight games.
Yeah, I remember.
So it's round one.
Yeah.
It's round one, so they play Thursday night, Friday night. They play all these Saturday games. Freo get lumped with the Sunday, so nerves, anticipation for the game, but it was just perfect. I think, I'm quite serious when I say this without trying to sound egotistical. That game I felt like was. Well, the first 2 or 3 games I played were the easiest games of football I've ever played.
In the AFL?
Yeah. And the reason for it, we were quite lucky. I was lucky. I walked into a side that we were on that night against Adelaide. Like we pantsed them and everything was... But when you put yourself in an environment where the ball moves slickly and you're kind of running to the right spot, and I'm in as physical
good a shape
condition as I've ever been in. And you're not burdened, to be honest. The longer you are in the system, you get, rightly or wrongly, however, you do absorb a lot more pressure and structure and adherence to this and injury and all this and stuff that does compile in your brain. So the first, like it should be the way, when you go play your first game, they just go
and play.
Just enjoy yourself.
And obviously it was Rossi Lyon who
had
Harvey.
You. It was halves.
Oh,
so
sorry,
halves was my first two, yeah.
It was halves.
Yeah.
And then it was Rossi.
Big Harvey. It was halves and then Rossi. So halves is very much coached that way. It was, it's a bit of fire with fire. Right, they go out there and let's...
do what you do.
Yeah.
And you did. I haven't got the stats in front of me, but you can tell us, Michael Barlow. 33 possessions and 2 goals in your first game. But as you say, it was easy. You don't mean that facetiously.
No, I don't mean that at all facetiously. But also, a lot went wrong. I remember, I'm not a great kick, but that night
so
I was
BOG?
Well...
In the best.
Yeah. It's
another story. Another podcast.
But even like that night, I'm not a great kick, but I was putting it on the boot, hardly looking, and it was landing on me. And it was one of those nights for Adelaide. They're probably looking at it thinking, this is bloody bullshit.
Who is this guy? We didn't even have him on our whiteboard before the game.
Yeah. There's some funny stories about that whiteboards. Ross Lyon used to say, if an underrated player or a no-name, inverted commas, player would get you, he'd be like, man, wouldn't know him if he jumped out of my wheat bix. And he's wearing number 47. Like, you blokes should be ashamed of yourself.
Yes. So that was that. And that was that breakout season. I remember watching you all the way through there, just thinking, wow. Like, I was working with Riley Dunn at the time, who's a very good friend of yours. He's a former friend of ours, should I say.
Smiley Riley.
Smiley Riley. But we were working together.
I've tried to get him on a few of my... media exploits along the way, but Riley's just, for someone that's so good in this kind of, without this.
Yeah, we've got to get invisible ones of these.
Yeah, and he's just everything, isn't he?
Smiley
And
Riley.
He's got this story, and he's got that, and he's up and about,
Yes.
and then you go, oh, mate, can you come on this?
No, he doesn't want to do it. But we were working together, Mickey, at Affordable Living in 2010, and literally, mate, we'd get the paper on the Monday and be like, wow, this Michael Barlow, look how good he's going, and you were up in the top couple for the Brownlow count, and not that that's the be all and end all, but for a first season, it was one of the breakout first seasons of all time, I think, wasn't it?
I'm
up until
snap.
Yeah,
but I get asked that a fair bit about that first year, but it all just you don't get carried away with it or caught up in it too much. It's just I don't know. And again, I think the way I was brought up, it was enjoy it and kind of.
Because you suddenly were in the spotlight, weren't you? For that.
But I think Perth and Fremantle in particular is a really. People would think that you go over there and you become it's big and you're bigger than Ben Hur. I don't think it's so much that way. And you know very well, being a West Australian, people in West Australia they coexist very well, and it's not euphoria around athletes or famous people or whatever. And so you don't have too much of a chance to get too carried away with yourself. But when I did have that injury halfway through, that was the moment I think that I actually had time to reflect and think, wow, shit, it was pretty special what was happening. Yeah.
Again, it's another story of the ups and the downs and the perseverance. But we talk about your perseverance to get drafted, Mickey. That's one thing, and that took its time. And then to have such a breakout season in 2010 and to be in the top two couple of players in the comp, and then to have one of the worst injuries that you could get, and you broke your
tibia and fibula. Yeah.
So the bottom part of your leg just snapped. I remember seeing it. I can't even watch it again. Yeah. And then that breakdown again. How did you go through that?
Yeah. Mate? Well, that was, and again, it's something when you do have a lot of time to reflect on it. You can either put yourself in and there are moments where you put yourself in, poor me. But if you can make sure that that's only 2% of your existence, and you can have 98%, it's like.
Still thankful to...
what's the 98% is that if this had happened 12 months ago, no one would have picked me up. I'm getting paid to rehab and recover. I've got access to doctors and physios every day. all that. Yes, it sucks when Saturday comes and they're playing and you can't walk and all of that.
Yeah.
But you've got to be able to have that perspective and the quote you hear so often is that everything happens for a reason. I'm really adamant the way my life is projecting and I suppose my journey through the AFL and into what is next, which is a bit of a roller coaster, but a very enjoyable
exciting
ride.
Yeah,
it bears a lot of fruit off injury and adversity, getting delisted, all of this stuff really assists in that transformation outside to when you become I suppose involved in the real world. That
of course
this is kind of
well, from breakdown comes breakthrough, and we'll talk about your new role as head coach of Werribee in a second. But I honestly believe, Mickey, and as you know, heavily involved in footy and know a lot of the players or whatever, but your story in terms of where you've been and the road that you've taken and the journey, for you to be in a position now as the Werribee head coach to be able to help young kids coming through or young men, you've been there, done it. Do you feel that they say from breakdown comes breakthrough, and we don't wish a broken leg like that on anyone, but there's some positives to come from that you can help other people who get in that similar position? Yeah,
certainly. I think, and life experience in the AFL for me was, injury, but also, going to a grand final and the good, and being a high performer, and then getting dropped and getting delisted, and then being in a leadership group and delisted again, another injury, all
best
of that.
On ground in a couple of derbies, best first year player.
So there's all that bowl of whatever it is. You can relate so well to, and also being a mature age recruit. I coach Werribee, where I got recruited from.
Amazing.
So there's
full circle.
Yeah, I relate to those guys, and I see these guys come in black and blue from work sites, or they've been at uni all day, or they're whatever it is, but they're doing this not for the financial remuneration, because the financial remuneration is very, very much more lucrative outside of the VFL.
Yeah.
So they sacrifice 3 nights a week and put in all this effort just to give themselves a chance. A lot of them, not even to be an AFL footballer, but to be the best that they can be, or be involved in the best team that they can be. Whilst they are fit and able. So I sit there, and I've got some examples as a coach at the moment. You announce a player to get a contract, and that's great. But I think with my life experience, I say, look, this guy's got a contract up here, bravo, how good. But I know that there's 4 or 5 blokes sitting in the crowd that are working for that contract.
Yes.
So I'm relating to those guys more so than
the guys that actually get it.
Yeah, getting caught. So it's all about how you, because I've sat there in those crowds and thought, I want to be that guy. What? I'm better than that guy. And now I'm in the business of making these decisions and being the villain a little bit.
Of course.
But it's tremendously fulfilling at the moment. I haven't coached a game at all yet, but what I'm enjoying is, and I'm very fortunate to have had some great mentors along the way to assist and just to learn off, to give myself a look at what's what.
How did you arrive to get the Werribee head coach position, Mickey? Is coaching on your list as a potential future for you?
Yeah, well, I suppose it is, and it's happened a little bit by accident, I would say. I would say that when I finished footy, and right in the heart of my footy career, I think a lot of people in football players would agree with this. When you're in that sweet spot, good money, you're playing every week, and you're on the flow. You look at these coaches and they're scrapping and clawing and they're doing hours and they're there late, they're there early, all of this, and you're like, no, not for me.
No. They're doing more time than the players, aren't they?
Certainly. And then you get to the end of it, and when you do come out the other end, I was still probably at the end of my career thinking, maybe not. But again, fortunately, how I landed back at Werribee, Mark Williams was the coach, so to have a mentorship from him, essentially is
Choco Williams, Port Adelaide Premiership coach.
As good a one-on-one experience as you'll ever get. I would have learnt more and had greater access to professional development in 18 months under him one-on-one than you would get going into the program as a development coach, I would think, in the AFL.
Yes.
Just because of the part-time element of it. My first year out of AFL, I had more time. I was working in a community role at the club at times, so I was there very early, and he was there, and you just, at the time you probably take it for granted, but he just teaches you stuff and puts you in scenarios.
It's your best learning you can have.
So all that happened, and so I still sit here thinking, do I want to do it long term, and what's the end game for it? I'm a big believer that, from here, there's a decision to be made probably in 2 or 3 years. But I just want to enjoy coaching my own team. It's exactly where I want to be in terms of a coaching space right now. I want to coach my own team. I want to coach at this level.
It's a big role.
And I also have some flexibility to do some other stuff, which talk to you off air about the pot plants.
Yes.
If you've got 4 or 5 pot plants in your house, it looks nice. If you've got one, everyone's looking at this one pot plant. So I've got a big pot plant, which is my coaching, which is probably 60% of what I am. That's my main goal. And then I've got, doing, you mentioned Blackie before, doing some stuff with his academy still in Melbourne, which is 10 or 15%, but gives you a little bit of a release from that pot plant. Takes a bit of pressure off that. And then a little bit of media stuff as well, which I'm still passionate and stimulated by.
Beautiful. What are you doing in the media?
So I've done a lot of special comments along the way. I'm a realist, and I know that first 2 or 3 years out, you're a commodity in that space. So I'm now into my 3rd year out, and still will get some opportunity in the special comment space. But I'm working on my play-by-play craft. So you and I could be a good 1-2 punch,
mate,
for the radio there when the ball moves from half back through the middle.
Well, we've got the whole setup here.
Yes. So I've been doing a lot of work in that space. Fortunate enough, I called a game for 6PR, a station over in Perth, a couple of seasons ago. So,
will you work it around your Werribee commitments?
So Werribee is priority one. But what I want to do is, it's a bit like that competitive playing thing with me was, you want to give yourself every opportunity to be an AFL player. So, and being an AFL commentator isn't at all kind of on the pedestal of what I wanted to get. But there's
still a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's fun and it's aspirational. Cool. And it might be 3 or 4 years where I keep churning it out, keep putting some demos in, keep getting some opportunity.
Coach, commentator.
They say, thanks, but no thanks. I would say...
Nothing to lose,
I
Mickey.
have failed a lot more, and you're probably similar. I've failed a lot more at things I've tried in my life than I've achieved at. But if you can
achieve it a couple.
Yeah, if you can achieve it a couple and do them really well. And when you fail, you can't be deterred by failing.
It's learning, isn't it?
Yeah, it's failure is feedback. Cross line. Failure is feedback. But
feedback is the breakfast of champions, Mickey.
So I'm doing a little bits and pieces of that. And what I do find with that is, if I'm only very early in the coaching space, but if I'm having a spare week, I'm at home on a Saturday and, twiddling his thumbs, might be coaching the next day, might be anxious and nervous. So what are you doing? You can't really go to the pub, and it's like, right, I'm going to watch bloody North Melbourne versus Brisbane. I'm going to do 60 minutes, take my mind it, and then it's kind of like my meditation. It's
a good switch off.
Yeah, when my girlfriend watches me do it, she wouldn't think I'm switching off.
Well, mate, Bruce is retiring, Dennis is retired, mate. Yeah. We might have to fill the roles, Mickey.
We're in, and I think our budget would be a little bit under what the Brayshaws and the PTs will be after.
Now, Mickey, that's a really good summary of your story, and we could keep going into it, but I want to go back to your Fremantle playing days. There were some characters in that team and some great players. You talk about Peter Bell, and was Belly still with you?
Belly had just finished, I think,
Well, Pavlich, Fife, arguably one of the best taggers of all time, Crowley. He would have made it interesting, wouldn't he? Some of the
every
stories.
time you play and Crowley's...
Blackie said you couldn't make... He just smiled all the time.
Yeah, he had that smile on his face. And he apparently... And again, I used to see that. He used to get more angry at his teammates, Crowley, than his opponent. Because his opponent would get away sporadically. And we'd pick him up. I tagged twice or 3 times in my career at Freo, and
accidentally, or you were given a role?
When I was on
post leg or pre.
This is like my last few games at Freo. Ross said, "Righto, you're going to go tag."
Did you get some tips off Krause or what?
I was bloody nervous. I was kind of asking about how do you do this in terms of being anxious and nervous, and he goes, "That won't leave you." But what I did find out, we always thought Krause had this bloody tough job. He's got to go play on Gary. He's got to go play on Juddy, all of that, which is daunting.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think our team was very, very disciplined to, okay, we all know he's the guy, this is Judd, he's not getting off. Krause has got him, but when Krause is down or someone's bashing Krause over there, someone else will get him. And I found that flowed on, even though 2016 when I did it Freo, we were no good. But whenever I got blocked or pushed over or whatever and my bloke got away, you'd look up, Stephen Hill would have him.
Or someone would go with him.
Stephen Hill, who's one of the greatest ball users and silky player of all time.
Yeah.
But, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. He'd go and get him.
Cover him.
So, again, seeing that role, I think it'll help my coaching as well, understanding what a tagger has to do and how a complementary team assists in making that tagger's job a beneficial one.
One game that stands out for me is that versus Geelong game.
I
was there.
You were there.
I was there. I got.
You would have nearly got escorted out.
No, well, a lady, a Geelong fan, because I was being quite loud cheering for the Dockers, that she poured a drink over me, and I'd returned the favour. And anyway, it didn't end well. But that game was an amazing game of footy, wasn't it?
That was, like you said, that was my most memorable experience in a Fremantle jumper.
Down at the Cattery. They don't like being beaten down there.
No,
mate.
they did. They were a bit. They were even. I think the media commentary around that morning in the paper was, Freo will lose and Geelong will play Collingwood and all of this. And Ross Lyon, this is where his mastery kind of kicks in, and the way he
a tactician.
Yeah, but the way he kind of didn't fully kind of use the weight of emotion and how unfair it was and all this with us. He just from Monday he said, right, we're going to play it. We're playing in Geelong. It never happens. It never happens. But hey, let's use that as an excuse right now. Let's discuss elephant in the room. It's bullshit. All this. We're going down there, but it's not going to change. So wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
So then you're like,
it is what it is.
So you're like, perfect. And then he just built this stuff into the week that was like, Eddie Maguire's he's already said that Geelong will be playing Collingwood. In the prelims, and they were worried about getting 100,000 in the MCG.
They'd already talked you out of it.
And you're like, wow, this is bloody... And then at quarter time, we're down by, I think, 20 points or something, and we're like, oh, yeah, well. But Ross came out and he goes, mate, boys, all good. We're smacking them, we're just fumbling and all this, just calm down, take a deep breath. And that whole week, I remember, every time I thought, oh, this is a bit much, he'd bring you back to centre. And
amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Unbelievable year as well.
Yeah, and
2013.
The next, we went to the prelim against Sydney and beat up on them and got into a grand final. It just didn't quite. It's easy to say, but it didn't go our way on the day. Not due to anything outside of what we could control, but we might have just come to the end of the tether of the emotional ride. Or
it was very close.
And Hawthorn, speaking of master tacticians, like Clarkson's ability to get his team just to not give us the ball. It was in a grand final, you just want the ball. Give us the ball, get us into the game.
Yeah.
15 minutes went by and we're looking up the screen and I'm like, I haven't touched it. No one's touched it.
And that's a mental thing too that affects you.
And then we finally got the kind of the wheels going. It was one of those days where...
And a few missed shots. It was only 15 points in the end, wasn't it?
You know those dreams you have sometimes when you're having those dreams and you're trying to chase someone and you know you can run faster. You're in slow motion. It was a bit like that day. So
yeah. Another great experience, Mickey.
Another great experience. It's an experience, waking up in the morning that you think, I'm not going to walk back in this hotel room tonight without a premiership medal. But you do, and you have to kind of suck it up and get on with it. Yeah.
Well, at 33, Mickey, you've had a fair few experiences to carry into the Werribee head coaching role. Just before we finish, mate, Bender Barlow, just the name, I knew you had that nickname. I don't actually know.
It's probably not a great coaching nickname, is it?
How and where and why?
What am I now? 33. This happened. We've already touched on my first year there at uni when I was going up to Shepparton and playing some horrendous football in the first half of the season. I reckon it was a grand final weekend that year, and I went home on the Saturday and had some beers Friday night, and then woke up Saturday grand final day. Righto, into it we go. Woke up on the Sunday. It's GV grand final day, so have another day.
Okay, so it was 3 or 4 days.
But then it was 3 days, and then it was the fourth day. I think I was getting driven back to Melbourne to uni. And it was, you think you're pretty cool. This is pretty embarrassing. But you're like, I'll get a six-pack because it's Monday and this is making me 4 days in a row. So then I must have dropped the nickname somewhere.
We've all done it.
And it stuck. And
that's
I nearly got rid of it. I nearly kicked it.
But it got into Freo.
No, it really got to the Gold Coast. When I got to the Gold Coast.
I did it.
The boys there were
because you're not famous for your bets.
No. I just tuck in behind. I tuck into the slipstream of your pals and your crowds.
That's right.
Your duns and the likes. But I'm not at all. And it's a little bit embarrassing. But again, even the boys at Werribee, who I coach, call me.
Do they call you that?
Yeah, because it made a bit of a resurgence. That when I rocked up the Gold Coast, Stephen May, I reckon, comes up and goes, don't know who he heard it off. He's like, right, I don't know what your nickname is. There you go.
Ben DeBarlow. And one more, Wombat. Is Wombat a thing? Is that a nickname or not?
Because that came from Marcus Drum used to play at Fremantle.
Okay.
When we were growing up, his I think his mum, it's a little bit probably over
unpodcast proof.
But again, nothing sinister.
Wombat.
But apparently, when I was younger, I used to go around to mate's house and
eat and
leave.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which is what wombats do.
Wombats eat, and then they don't clean themselves up.
And they shoot off.
And then away they go.
Well, what a great story, Michael Barlow, mature age recruit. And for anybody listening who's looking to achieve, it's a matter of not giving in. And this man is testimony to persistence and perseverance, mate. But thank you very much for joining us on the podcast.
Brilliant. No, you're doing some great stuff.
Great to chat.
Good to see your face again. It's been too long. And good luck on the swim.
Thank you,
which is
mate.
coming up soon.
Yes.
What date's that?
Speak about perseverance. It's May 29. I've got a 10K swim coming up down in Mentone Bay, down in the bay there.
Oh, right, down in Victoria.
Yeah, down on the weekend.
Yes.
It'd be a bit chilly, I think.
I think we get Vaseline.
Vaseline up. So, yeah, we're raising money for Fight MND, so we're nearly at 30 grand. We've got to get to 50 so I can give the cheque to Neil Danaher.
Absolutely great stuff, mate.
Thank you for coming in, Mickey.
Keep working on it. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.